And I'm gonna pause things right there, because in this video we are going to be covering my new design for the most bare bones prison, which is, as always, just about inescapable as any other, yet reserves a complexity as simple as I could make it, while still, of course, following the rules of prisons in Minecraft. The rules, by the way, were recommended to me by this comment on screen now, and if you're watching by any chance, thank you so much for the support. Basically, in the comment, he basically described how my entire last prison was an utter piece of hot mess. And I can assure you, this prison is at least 10 times better. So thank you so much for pointing things out. It should go without saying that if you spot any flaws or design improvements that could be executed within this build, please do let me know down in the comments so that I can make these prisons, maybe 10 times better in the next iteration. While you're down there, consider subscribing, of course. I design prisons and contraptions quite similar to this all and every day. And so if you are interested in creative content, somewhat off the beaten path, and a little more creative and a little more compact than most other things you're going to see, do consider subscribing. In the words of Dream, you can always change your mind later, and it helps out a ton. This video is going to be covering just about every part of how this prison works, from the inventory and guards chambers down there, to the elder guardians, to the cobblestone generators, to the visitor system, to the kill loops, to the guard killing mechanisms and redstone, and so much more. And so if you do appreciate the 5 or 6 hours that I spent designing this entire prison and testing this entire prison, consider giving it a like. Perhaps helps out with the YouTube algorithm, and hey, motivates me an absolute ton. With that all out of the way, I truly do hope you enjoy my efforts and my creation, and with that all out of the way, let's hop into things. Alright everyone, now there are 3, as I may or may not have mentioned in the intro, there are 3 predominant regions of this prison we're going to explore today. The first is the inventory clearing, down at the bottom there. The second is the prisoner's cell up top here with the cobblestone generator, and third is the visitor's chamber up top at the very top of the prison. Now I want to really emphasize the inventory clearing, because that's really what I feel is the bread and butter of most prisons. Far too often have I seen prisons being escaped incredibly easily simply by prisoners managing to sneak items in. However, my mechanics and my contraption here makes this literally impossible, and I will explain how. On the Bedrock Edition, if you were to set your spawn on a block which is then obstructed, say by this piston, and then you were to kill yourself, your items would drop down on the floor, and you, however, would spawn on the tallest vertical block that the original spawn block is. As you can see, I set my spawn down there, and we spawn all the way up here. And so hopefully you're catching on as to what these massive obsidian pillars actually do. All of the player's items are dropped down below, meaning that it's physically impossible of getting any sneaked items all the way up into the top. In my opinion, it seems that making a prison impossible to escape with a clean inventory is actually really easy. What I think many prisons struggle with, however, is making sure that the player's inventory going into it is 100% clear. I'm going to demonstrate the system in action, and as per usual, since I have absolutely no friends, I'm going to be using a set block command to actually mimic the guard flicking the lever, and I'll of course show you the guard chambers in just a little bit. As soon as we step inside of this area, the doors instantaneously close, and we are locked in a 1-by-1 area. The only thing that the players can do is set their spawn, and although you might be saying, what if they don't set their spawn, the goal of this video is not to make a prison more secure, but rather make it as secure as something like the Titan's Vault, or the Poseidon's Vault, or the Hades Vault, or something like that. And all of those prisons unanimously use this technique, so I'm going to use it too. Referring back to that set block command, what I'm going to do is, again, set block at these specific coordinates, don't mind me, this and this here, just like so. And as you can see, we are instantaneously pushed over into this 1-by-1 area here. This piston, as you might be catching on, as I like to say, this piston is now blocking this respawn point, so that we're now going to spawn all the way up top. Beneath this slab, the guard will actually begin to kill us from our feet, and all of our items will drop down below. I'm going to use a /kill command just to mimic this, but again, our items are down at the bottom, and watch this. We instantaneously spawn up up top here. It takes a few seconds for mining fatigue to come, but even then, there is still absolutely no possibility of ever escaping in that time. As per usual, we have water to prevent coarse fruit, a very standard part of prisons. Up here is the visitors area, you could say. And we have a little bit of light source and auto-regenerating cobblestone all around here. There's nothing you can do to somehow glitch through, and you can't even swim inside of this water, relog, or absolutely do anything. This is the part that I find absolutely spectacular. We are literally spawning a player completely naked into a regenerating room of cobblestone. Even if the player somehow dies, as example, they will just spawn straight back into where the prison is. So ladies and gentlemen, this is my design and my methodology for how to craft a truly and absurdly secure prison. I'm going to teleport myself, 9 blocks into there to kind of escape from that general area. And the next thing I want to show you is the visitors area, because that's one of the requirements for a prison. It is the exact same redstone, as you can kind of see through the purple stained glass, and it's about time to mention that the purple stained glass should be filled entirely with obsidian. I get tons and tons of comments saying, what if people just break inside by walking through the air? Well, the air is just obsidian. I want to make it as easy as possible for new viewers to see the redstone and not so much the ugly obsidian block. So the visitors have the exact same system. They have the piston, the pressure plate, and all of that. And they end up spawning all the way up this entire obsidian pillar till they get to this upwards area here. I'm gonna break through the wall just in a little bit of for quickness sake, and this cauldron will come handy in just a little bit. The visitor can then walk into this area here. As usual, the purple stained glass acts as a placeholder for obsidian. The guard chamber, of course, flooded with water, and now they can actually observe the prisoners area down there. Any attempts to break these glass will actually notify the guards, because the guards area, mind you, is all the way up here, right next to them. I'm going to use some ender pearls just to get around. I'm somehow stuck inside of the obsidian. Why is this happening? The guards area is, of course, over here. And the reason why you might be asking, why can I use ender pearls? Well, the reason why we can go through the ease of use of having ender pearls is because we ensure that the visitor's inventory is absolutely clear. Well, the guards can actually access an ender chest here, and if they catch the player doing absolutely anything sneaky, they can just kill the player in one hit with power 5 and harming 2 arrows. And mentioning back to the cauldron over there, they can even extend the cauldron such that the player will be stuck in an infinite death loop, spawning inside of the lava cauldron and burning them to death. If, however, the guard wants the visitor to return to the main area, what they can do is, of course, retract that cauldron right there. What they can also do is press this lever right here. And what that lever will actually do, again, after dropping down this little drop shaft here, is it will remove the obstruction from down below. Hopefully you're, catching on, as I like to say, that the fact that if this is obstructed, the player spawns up there with no items. However, if it is down below, the player is going to respawn down here. And so what basically happens is that the entire player is basically going to be spawning and respawning inside of this location here. Now, of course, we have it set to the push over mode. However, if I was to flick that lever, you'd be mimicking something a bit like this, in which the prison would be open and the visitor could walk out. Referring to that whole slab thing, it is actually controlled by this lever right here. The guard can get the prisoner's items or the visitor's items, and the same thing can be said for this area up here. Just like so, getting all of the items that are dropped by the prisoner. That redstone line that I mentioned, which actually controls whether the visitor can respawn down there or up there, is controlled by these slime blocks here, which are controlled by the second lever inside of the guard's control room. In general, that's probably going to do things. Oh, the dropper over here actually supplies the player with food a few times throughout the day, and it's just dispensed directly inside of the chamber, such that nothing flies out into the world or really any funny business like that. We have observer clocks to make fast pushing of cobblestone even possible, and the entire prison, as I want to reiterate, is going to be completely surrounded with obsidian. All in all, that's probably gonna complete things off and round things off for the entirety of this prison. Elder Guardians, of course, and absolute tons of obsidian need to be put into things. As I mentioned in the intro, I spent so much time designing and testing and perfecting and tweaking this build, and so if you can just consider subscribing, liking, or commenting with your thoughts down below, it would truly, and I do mean truly, make my day. In any case, thank you so much for watching, thank you so much for sticking around, and thank you so much for hopefully enjoying this video. If you are interested and have any questions about this prison, I'd be more than happy to answer them down below. And in any case, have a marvelous rest of your day,